Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. This is about the new project update, my Velobuild 068 frame I'm building, well, not yet building, but I stripped all the components from my old Canyon Ultimate and I'm going to show you what's the selection of the components for the new bike. Yes, you won't find the usual intro picture. My sliding picture apparently is not that cool. My son could not stand it and I received some other not that positive feedback, so yes, I will find something else in the meantime. No intro, let's go straight into the selection of the components, but more importantly, the differences in the frames. I managed to remove everything from the Canyon frame. It went quite well, I have to say. I did not find any issues at all. Quite simple bike at the end of the day, mechanical with the rim brakes, so it was quite easy. I left the cables in a not very elegant and professional way, but this will be guides for reinstalling everything at a later stage. I did not have the plastic tubes and I left the cables there. The frame itself, I'm going to weigh with the bottom bracket. I'm not going to remove it, and let's have a look at how it comes up. 1080, yes, 1080, 1050 is a very light frame. This is the weight including the cables inside and the bottom bracket. Fork is 440 grams and the Canyon seat post is 247 grams. This Velobuild feels slightly chunkier. One would be the paint. Of course, the layer of paint will add maybe a couple of 100 grams max. But the section on the bottom bracket, this is a threaded bottom bracket, will add a little bit more weight on the bike. The frame itself is 1360, but we do need to add the bottom bracket to give a comparison with the Canyon setup. 75 grams. So the bike, I would guess, all finally completed, would be around half a kilo more than the Canyon Ultimate, which is in line with the expectations of the cost of the bike and the fact that it's based on an aerodynamic bike with chunkier tubing. The fork, 520 grams, not much of a difference with the Canyon. Also the tube is not yet cut to sides, and the seat post with the clamp I just received is 248 grams. And let me show you what's the component selection that is going to go on the bike and why. So, as Drake suggested, we need to start from the bottom bracket, and yes, it seems that in this case it was better to go with a threaded bottom bracket. Velobuild offers the choice. You can go press fit or you can use the BSA standard. I chose the BSA with the ease of fitting. I got this Ultegra BB, very simple to thread in. I just want to make sure that the threads are clean because they might still have some residual from the paint process, so I'm not sure what actually use to clean the thread inside. If you do have any suggestion, let me know. I learned also that the bottom brackets standard are not all the same to actually fit them in, and I got a new tool. This is a quite simple wrench tool. I'm not planning to buy a huge torque wrench just to fit the bottom bracket. I think this is going to be enough, but you do need to make sure that you do get the right adapter that goes into the bottom bracket, because some are different from others and they don't fit them all the same way, like so. I do have my trusty 105 that I've been using on the Ultimate. Pedals are my Ultegra pedals. I'll have new chain, and I might use this time the KMC missing link, because for some reason the link provided with Shimano is only one use. It's not meant to be open and reclosed. Not sure why. While the KMC are marked with reusable. So if you want to clean the chain by taking it off, you can do this with these KMC ones. Rear derailleur and front derailleurs, again from 105 from the Canyon Ultimate, same as the brakes. So everything, fingers crossed, will go straight on the new bike. And I got standard brake set and shift cable set. Yeah, maybe they are not the best in the bunch, but I have to say the idea of the bike is to build it on not the tightest budget, but a reasonable budget, because the idea of the bike is to get to a good standard, a good performance without the need of exotic components. Of course, it's not really relevant to this particular bike. I will also fit a transparent protection on the frame to avoid the chain slap. And more importantly, the setup of the handlebar and stem is what required a little bit more attention. Let's have a look. For the front end of the bike, I chose this Prime Doyen aluminium aero bar. It's quite nice. The design actually similar to the bars that were originally fitted to the Specialized bench. It does look really nice. I'm going to use the 105 levers that I had on my Canyon, the out front mount. On this bike, yes, I didn't want to go for a full integrated handlebar. First of all, to tune in my position as I go, so I chose a separate bar and stem combination. And also, I think it's more consistent with the age and the type of the bike, because yes, this bike is meant to be reminding of a Specialized bench from a few years ago, and at that time the separate bar and stem combo was the usual setup with the out front computer mount. So I want to be consistent with that kind of age, like if you wear a vintage watch. And in terms of the stem, I went to Prime as well. So including the wheels that I'm going to use, it will form a nice consistent finishing kit. The stem is quite nice. It's the Doyen stem. I loved it for the design. It's quite chunky and it feels a very good complement with the handlebars. Both parts are marked Prime. The stem is from Control-Tech actually, and I think that Control-Tech do have a similar shaped bars. So yes, maybe Prime is collaborating with Control-Tech for the supply of these parts. That's quite usual for a big group like Wiggle Chain Reaction to outsource these components. But I have to say, I do like the Prime logo and branding. This particular stem comes with its own base, and there's a minimum amount of spacer that you have to run anyway on the stem. So this will be the actual position on the bike, and I'm not sure if I want to run this particular setup on the bike. It will raise the stem maybe a little bit too much. I'm going to try, but there is also an alternative solution for me to use the original dust cap that was provided by Velobuild together with the headset bearings, and together with the very slim dust cap, I'm going to use a small spacer to balance the stem, and I think this is going to be a quite neat solution. I will measure if this is of course consistent with my position, but if it is, I believe this is going to be for me the best looking setup, and of course I will cut the excess stereo tube. If I were going to run the original spacer from Prime for the Doyen stem, it will look like this, maybe a little bit too high. Although it does look good, it is a smooth transition and it's in line with the shape of the stem itself. I'll decide once I measure the bike eventually when it's finished. What I'm not going to use is the original top cap for the stem that is provided by Prime, and also not even the original top cap that came with the bike, and I'm going to explain you why. This is the compression plug that will need to be installed on top of the steerer, of course, to distribute the force of the clamping from the stem and avoid any breakage of the steerer. Now, when you have to cut the steerer tube, you have to leave at least 2 or 3 millimeters to allow the top cap to pull up the fork, to compress the bearing and make sure that your headset doesn't move. In order to achieve this 2 to 3 millimeters play for you to pull up the fork, in this case, if you are going to use a top cap that is already coming down the stereo tube because it's got a little bit of space for the bolt, it's not actually flat, that means that I need to leave the fork a little bit lower than what I would want. And even the Velobuild cap, it does have a bit of a shape that protrudes towards the compression plug. So what I did is I bought a replacement top cap, and my preference is to use, in this case, a flat cap. I found a quite cheap carbon top cap, but in this case is completely flat. That will allow me to precisely measure the space I need to cut the fork to leave around 3 millimeters from the top of the stem, so I know that when I apply the force, the fork will have free play to go up and compress the bearing as needed without anything from the bottom of the cap stopping the travel of the fork. And it does also look nice once in place. It's not going to ruin the aspect of the stem. I think it's going to look good when the bike is finished. Some other YouTubers, especially Patrick Lino, had a bit of a trouble in setting up the headset. I had received confirmation from Velobuild that the headset design had changed. As you can see, the fork does need a ring to form the crown in order for it to match the bottom bearing, while Canyon, for example, has got the fork with the crown already molded in the shape of the fork, so this will directly fit inside the bearings. So in this case, you do need to fit a ring first, then the bearing that will match, that will go on the bottom of the bike, and on top you do have again the bearing and the ring to place. New bar tape, this is going to be fitted on the bars. It's the first time I tried. I will let you know how it went, because last time I fitted the lizard skin on the Canyon. Fantastic feeling. It does not last that much, so I say, you know, why not? Let's try the old and tested Cinelli. The saddle is going to be my favorite, Novus Selle Italia Super Boost. I have this on my other bike. It is the ferry shape I like, very long channel where you can rotate your pelvis, move forward as well without anything touching in your favorite area. Lastly, yes, tires and wheels. I'm going to use the Prime Carbon 50mm rim brake wheels. These are the Prime RR50 V3. I love these wheels, and for the cost of the wheels, the performance is incredible. So I love how they perform. There is a tight fit. I tried the wheel on, and Velobuild says that 25 is the maximum size for the tires, and I have to say it's a quite tight fit on this bike. I really hope they won't rub. I will report if anything happen. On this wheel you can see the GP4 Season. I will maybe swap this with the new GP5000 I have ready for this bike. New cassette, all and nice and shiny. And as my Latin predecessors say, errare humanum est, perseverare diabolicum, as in once you notice the error you will not need to do it again. But I'm going to stick again with the plastic inner tubes. This time I'm not going to use the expensive Pirelli Smart Tube. They perform really well while riding. I had 3 punctures. I had decided not to run them anymore because they are quite expensive at £26 each. But I just received this right now cheaper alternative around £9 to £10, and I have to say, if they ride as fast as the Pirelli, I'll try this on again, and I hope they won't puncture straight away, maybe with the new tires, because they do offer a sensible performance increase. If this fails again, I will go back to the butyl tubes as I've done on the Ultimate for now. Guys, yes, the setup is almost complete. Make sure that you subscribe not to lose any more videos. I will try to build up the bike as soon as I can. I'm not going to post one of those videos with the nice music while a professional fits all the components in the bike, because I'm sure I will do mistakes, and mistakes that will take me longer to build the bike. I'm trying to do everything myself if possible, or maybe a friend to help me out, and I hope to give you another update when the bike looks almost done. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you to the next video. Ciao!